They were fighting back. And don't call me a liar. I'm not here to sit here and name call and be childish like you at your big age. But
you just called them
the pro-Palestinian side. There was a woman who was put in the hospital because she was hit in the head.
Innocent all of a sudden. Yeah, you just.
They were being dirty. You don't sit there and poop in a gender-neutral bucket and sit there and act like you're not dirty. I call it the health department. It is filthy. The way that they're behaving is filthy. I don't hate Muslims, but I do hate Muslim extremism. I have a lot of fundamental issues with the Muslim extremism that's going on in the world. If the only way that you can get your point across is going and raping and beheading people, then you're probably a terrorist and you're probably an extremist. I do have an issue with that. I do have an issue with the fact that you show an ankle and you're killed in some of these nations. Oh, no, I'm racist. I'm not racist. I don't have any issue with Muslims in general. I didn't say, did I not just say extremists? I just said extremists, but you chose to hear what you wanted to hear.
He clearly said
shit into a bucket. I wasn't even just talking about the Muslims. I was talking about in the encampment. The encampment is disgusting. They're all sitting there with unwashed behinds, protesting and screaming out for the bloodshed of Jews and Christians worldwide. So yeah, I have a problem with
Dr. Cornel West was on Piers Morgan, which he called Piers Morgan a racist on his own platform, and I am perplexed, to say the least. I'm perplexed that he said it. No, because if you follow Dr. Cornel West, he does not care. He is a walking definition of free speech. He says what he feels and says what he believes. However, the way that he just comfortably just called him it like it was nothing on his platform, I was like, oh my gosh. Everything going on with Hamas and Israel right now and Palestinians' lives being lost. There was a conversation around the protest that's happening in Columbia University right now. Piers Morgan brought on Dr. Cornel West, Cenk Uygur, and I forgot the individual's name, but you're going to see when he comes up, to speak about what's happening with Columbia. And within the midst of the conversation, Dr. Cornel West and Cenk Uygur, they were not satisfied with the way that Piers has been covering the situation and the war that's happening right now. I personally am going to say this. I think Piers Morgan is doing a solid job in regards to getting every angle with the war that's happening between Hamas and Israel right now. Obviously, he's not perfect. No one's perfect. But I do think he has been doing a solid job in using his platform to expand the conversation. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and watch it and get into it.
My point.
Of course. That goes without saying. I try to be a decent person in my life.
So you agree with me? After that diatribe, you agree with me?
All you want to talk about is protection of Jews.
It's not all I want to talk about, Cornel. But that is actually what this debate is about.
Organizations that are banded back in October. Did you say a word about that? When you got massive children at universities and hospitals completely leveled, and you have something on your Twitter rather than make that part of the framing of the issue, then in fact you become an extension of propaganda. And that's why I call you a racist, because it means then that a Palestinian...
How dare you? Honestly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but how dare you? I'm sorry, Dr. West.
The way it just rolled off of his tongue, he's saying, that is why I call you a racist. Yo.
Would not frame it in that way.
I'm sorry, but you how dare you call me a racist? What you don't know is, before I did this debate, I did a long interview with one of the IDF spokesmen in which I went after him about their planned invasion of Rafah because I think it would be a catastrophic mistake. So don't call me a racist. And don't assume Don't assume.
Biden believes the Palestinian life has the same value as Israeli life?
Yes, I do.
Absolutely not.
Yes, I do.
Fiber in his bone when it comes to Palestinian predicament.
I absolutely believe
that's an answer to me?
I believe Palestinian lives matter just as much as any other lives, and I've always said that. Always.
It's not manifesting in your framing, brother. It's not manifesting in your framing.
Don't throw around the word racist without any evidence to support the fact that I'm a racist.
I hear a lot of evidence, and I've been hearing the evidence, and I throw it around. It's not throwing around. It's a reality.
Me saying it is wrong that Jewish...
He's standing 10 toes down behind that. He said, you're a racist, point blank, period. After being called a racist, is Piers Morgan going to bring him back on the show? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, there's no telling at this point. But me personally, obviously it's not about me because I'm not on there speaking, but I wouldn't go as far and call Piers Morgan a racist. I do think he can alter how he's covering certain factors when it comes to Israel and Hamas. But I will honestly say he's doing, compared to other journalists, he's doing a solid job. Like, he gets different perspectives and different angles on his platform to speak about it. But I do understand Dr. West's frustration, because if you watch the whole interview from the beginning to where it is now, it's about 45 minutes long. He pretty much is regurgitating the same question over and over again, and they're spending so much time on one question that they all agree on, which is, do Jewish lives matter on these campuses? Should they be able to maneuver on these campuses safely? And everyone on the panel, they're like, yeah, but that's not the topic that we're discussing. That's not the topic at hand. So I think that's where a lot of it kind of like collide.
Students are being harassed is not racism, because I'm not also talking about universities being flattened in Gaza. I think the flattening of universities in Gaza is
totally
awful.
disingenuous.
All right, Cenk, I'll bring you in.
No.
Please.
Okay. Look, Piers, you keep going back to the most obvious question in the world. Should Jewish students be protected from harassment or assault?
Yes.
Obviously.
So you both agree with me?
No.
So why does that make me a racist?
Let me finish. Let me finish. So that's the most obvious point in the world. And I already told you that I have a Jewish family. I have a nephew who wears a Star of David on a college campus. I will go and help the people that are escorting them to their classes, etc. That is not an issue. But what you just did was you spent now 20 to 30 minutes framing it like that is the biggest issue, and everyone is saying, oh no, we should attack the Jewish students, when no one is saying that. In reality, hold on, in reality, vigilante thugs last night attacked the peace protesters at UCLA who had done nothing wrong. It was a violent attack. They beat them with sticks, they pepper sprayed them, and yet I asked you a simple question. You've got now 20 to 30 minutes of propaganda saying, oh, the Palestinian protesters, the peace protesters, they hate the Jews, they're anti-Semites, all the Jews are in danger, etc. And I'm saying, of course,
I will say this, Cenk is very animated. I got to interview Cenk. Y'all haven't seen the full video because the software, it was a virtual interview and we tried a new software and they lost our footage. And I'm not even gonna, you know what, it's all good. It's all good. But he is very animated and he's very passionate. I will say that, regardless if I agree with everything he says, but that's just who Cenk is.
You make it seem like that's the 98% of the issue, when in reality, the only protesters that have been massively violent are the pro-Israel protesters. And to this second, not only did you mention it for about 2.5 seconds
I even
out of
have
20
a video
minutes,
on my
but
Twitter
you still haven't condemned them. So do you condemn them, Piers, the violent thugs?
I deliberately held off writing or commenting about what was going on in Colombia for quite a few days, and I will do the same about what happened at UCLA until I've actually established well, hang on. Sorry, it happened overnight, and I will wait and see the facts, and when I get the facts, I will pass judgment without fear or favor, and certainly without any racism. Now, Javier, you were there last night.
And Piers, hold on. On the racism charge? No. Because everyone who defends Palestinians in this country, no matter what they say, like I'm a perfect example. I condemn Hamas. I want to protect the Jewish students. I want a beautiful pro-Palestine and Israel. I want two states. And we're called anti-Semites, including by your guests, 24/7. The minute someone calls you a racist back because Muslim lives don't matter, all of a sudden everybody catches feelings.
Yeah, except I haven't called you.
Which only goes one way. It only goes one way, right?
No, and tell you what, I've never called
in this country.
I have never called you an anti-Semite. I've never called.
That's my pet peeve. When it comes to, no matter how much passion and emotion you have behind a topic, when it comes to actually discussing and conversating and debating, or whatever you want to call it at this point, you have to relax. Let the other person talk. I always tell people, you are not going to learn from someone who you agree with. The way my brain just gets overstimulated, I just can't.
To Western
That's right, but almost every guest
I've never called either of you racist, and yet both of you have gone along with calling me a racist, even though I'm not. So yeah, if you're going to dish it out,
are you going to ignore the framing, Piers, are you going to ignore the framing?
He said be very
careful.
careful.
You know you framed it this way. And Piers, you're not alone.
You were booked, all of you, just to be clear.
Hold on, Piers. Let me give you a little bit of credit.
Right, okay.
You are open to the Palestinian position 20% of the time.
Just to be clear.
That's why I come back on this show.
Just to be clear.
But the American media is filled with racist against Muslims. Right. American politicians are racist against Muslims, and they revel in it. Blood, rivers of blood in Gaza. And the American politicians and the American media say, not enough, kill them more, Israel, kill them more.
Yeah, just
and
to be clear.
Anyone who objects to the wide slaughter of those people is called an anti-Semite.
Just to be clear.
The American media is sick.
Just to be clear, you were all booked to take part in a debate specifically about the protests at Columbia. So when you're asking, why am I focusing on the protests at Columbia, that is why you were all booked for this segment and debate. So don't try and be disingenuous with viewers and make out that you were booked for any wider purpose, because you weren't.
Piers said, clock it. Y'all were on this show. We brought you on to speak about Columbia. We gonna clock that before anything else. But I will say with Cenk's point, I do agree with the point of people overutilizing the word of anti-Semite. I think that whenever we're at a point where you ask certain questions or you disagree with a certain way, like throwing these words out, it loses its value. Like it generally loses its value. I think within recently, actually, a lot of people are just throwing out the word anti-Semitism. You're anti-Semite. You don't like Jews. You don't like, but it's really, in reality, it's like, no, that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. Even whenever the whole thing happening with Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, like how easily it was for him to just switch and say, oh, not even him specifically, but this insinuation, oh, she's anti-Semitic, but it was like, she was your coworker for how long? Now that she's asking certain questions that's happening right now in the war, it's like, okay.
Israel
around what's going on in Colombia. And what is interesting to me...
Let's talk about Colombia.
Let me finish.
Let's talk about Colombia.
Let me finish.
Those peace protesters are the same ones that
I'm sorry, you don't just keep talking on my show. I'm sorry.
Banished and propagandized against like people like you.
Yeah, I'm not a propagandist. I'm not a racist or any of these things, right?
War is always great. Peace is always the bad guys. Yeah. It's absurd.
It is absurd,
insanity.
Yeah. I agree with you about it being absurd.
Piers, do you get that we are vomiting your propaganda? We can't stand it anymore.
Yeah.
It isn't just about
Cenk's just talking to hear himself.
Media,
like he has to
all of the
relax.
Politicians with their nonstop propaganda that the people in favor of peace, the people who want to protect innocent lives, are somehow pro-terrorists, are the bad guys, are the anti-Semites, are the racists, etc. We're sick of the overwhelming propaganda.
Yeah, I'm pretty sick of being called a racist by you guys. So we've all got a cross to bear. Let me bring.
Show, I asked you whether the IDF were terrorists. Are the IDF a terrorist organization killing innocent children? Yes or no?
I do not believe they're a terrorist organization. No.
Oh, come on! Of course they're terrorists.
No, they're at war. There's a big difference between being at war and being a terrorist.
But the question is, he is right, there is a difference between being a war and being a terrorist. However, where do you draw that line?
No, and you may think they are, Cenk. You've asked me a question. I do not think they are. Okay?
Based on what?
Do I think the IDF? Do I think the IDF has very serious questions to answer about the way they are executing this war? Absolutely. Do we have international criminal courts? Do we have criminal courts and laws and rules to hold them to account? Absolutely. And do I want them to be held to account? Damn right I do. Yeah. And do I think they should be invading Rafah? No, I do not.
It don't mean that much to you, man. Come on.
Oh, it does mean as much to me. Let me bring in Javier again.
No, they don't mean that much.
Javier, this debate has got very unpleasant for reasons that are slightly lost on me, given what the debate was supposed to be. Cornel, let Javier speak. Okay? Javier, you were there.
Absolutely. Javier's been very patient.
Javier, you were there last night, and it's been pictured by Cenk as it was simply a bunch of very violent pro-Israel protesters attacking completely innocent pro-Palestinian protesters. What was your experience there? What did you see?
I mean, that's not what happened there, and it's not what's happened at any of these universities. I don't know why he's trying to portray it as if the pro-Palestinians are there peacefully. I also have a video on my Twitter of a pro-Palestinian chasing after a Jewish man trying to tase him because she didn't like what was on his sign. I also saw a man go and spit on a woman's dog simply because she was on the Zionist side. So no, it's not this situation where you have the pro-Palestinians who are just sitting there in their encampment and not doing anything. These people have continuously been violent, and I mean, even just looking over at what happened in Colombia. You're not busting into windows and breaking into buildings if you're there to be peaceful and to be protesting peacefully. That's not the case. So you are disingenuous, Sank, if you're going to sit here and pretend that the pro-Palestinians are just being innocent. I don't understand how you could even see it in that way.
Brother,
are you going to sit here? There's videos online. Are you going to sit here and lie to everyone and say that the pro-Israel side didn't attack?
Please.
Well, you both spoke over each other, so we didn't hear what either person said.
Okay, all right. Let me just ask Javier, who's obviously lying about this. There's videos online of the pro-Israel side clearly attacking the pro-Palestinian side with sticks and fireworks and pepper.
Okay, this is what I don't understand. They're arguing over something that's subjective. So two things can be true at once. Javier could see and experience and have videos of those who are pro-Palestinian initiating fights. Cenk, on the other hand, can see and have videos of those who are pro-Israel initiating fights, causing commotion as well. So it's like both of them can be true. Like two things can be true at once. So like this argument that they're having or about to continue over like, no, they're starting it or they're starting it. It's just like, y'all are wasting your breath. Like, I'm pretty sure it's subjective, depending on where you're at, depending on what campus you're at, depending on what you see. Like,
are you going to sit here and lie on television and say to everyone that
that's the thing, you can't really say he's lying.
Didn't happen? Because go ahead, you lose all credibility. Go ahead, liar.
They were fighting back. And don't call me a liar. I'm not here to sit here and name call and be childish like you at your big age. But
yeah, you just called
the pro-Palestinian side. There was a woman who was put in the hospital because she was hit in the head.
Innocent all of a sudden. Yeah, you just
they were being dirty. You don't sit there and poop in a gender-neutral bucket and sit there and act like you're not dirty. I call it the health department. It is filthy. The way that they're behaving is filthy. I don't hate Muslims, but I do hate Muslim extremism. I have a lot of fundamental issues with the Muslim extremism that's going on in the world. If the only way that you can get your point across is going and raping and beheading people, then you're probably a terrorist and you're probably an extremist. I do have an issue with that. I do have an issue with the fact that you show an ankle and you're killed in some of these nations. Oh, no, I'm racist. I'm not racist. I don't have any issue with Muslims in general. I didn't say, did I not just say extremists? I just said extremists, but you chose to hear what you wanted to hear.
He clearly said
shit into a bucket. I wasn't even just talking about the Muslims. I was talking about in the encampment. The encampment is disgusting. They're all sitting there with unwashed behinds, protesting and screaming out for the bloodshed of Jews and Christians worldwide. So yeah, I have a problem with that. I have a fundamental issue with that. Is that such a big deal?
But Javier,
nonsense, propaganda.
Do you believe
what did I lie about? Where was the lie? Where was the lie?
Goodness.
Who's paying you, Javier?
The pro-Palestinian side started the aggression. They started the violence when they went and they attacked that Jewish girl who went to the hospital that night, and then things began to escalate.
You don't know what you're talking about. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Piers Morgan needs to gain control of his show.
He was the cause of the whole issue of white supremacy because he's responding to white supremacy. That's ridiculous. And you know it's ridiculous.
Why are we still talking about white supremacy in 2024? Why are we still talking about that hundreds of years later? What do white people do that black people can't? How is white supremacy even still on the forefront of your mind? You're stuck in the past. You're stuck in these dated issues, and that's what the problem really starts for you.
Now you're really revealing your ignorance, brother. You don't think white supremacy has anything to do with what's going on in Gaza at all?
How am I ignorant? Is that right? I've been black for 27 years, and I have never been inferior to a white person. What is the white supremacy that is affecting you?
He said, clock it. I'm not inferior to nobody. Yikes. Okay. My brain is like low-key overstimulating. Let's finish this, but Piers Morgan needs to gain control of his show. Piers, this is not being a productive conversation.
I would like to hear it.
Nobody in your family has ever been. I would like to hear it.
What can't I do that a white person can do?
Never been mistreated, right? You one of the few black people never been mistreated. Okay, all right. I see.
Saying that I've never been mistreated. Every demographic has been mistreated. White people get mistreated all the time.
I'm talking about because
is getting mistreated. There is prejudice from every single demographic. So I don't understand what you think that is so unique to black people for.
All right,
brother.
You know what? I've got to bring this debate to an end. It was supposed to be specifically about the protests. I'm sorry that it got so heated and personally abusive. I would like to make it clear.
It wasn't your fault, Piers.
I would like to make it clear to CORNEL and to Cenk, I'm not a racist.
Your fault, Piers.
And I genuinely care about the safety of Jewish students at that university. That's it. And that doesn't mean I don't care about what's happening in Gaza or the journalists there or the universities there or any of those things, because actually I do. And I've expressed my concern about that many times.
Let's see it in your reporting. Let's see it in your reporting.
Well, if you bother to watch it, Cornel, you would know. If you bother to watch it, you would know.
Over and over and over again, brother. Yeah. That's why I come on your show.
Well, then you would not. Then you would not call me a racist. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. You don't have a right to call me a racist without evidence, and you didn't have any.
Oh, please, brother. When the evidence is overwhelming, you can't even say the IDF is involved in terrorism Palestinians, but Hamas terrorizes all the time. Palestinian lives don't mean the same as Israeli lives for you. Admit it.
They do.
Wrestle with that in the midnight hour.
They do.
Wrestle with that.
How is it terrorism when you're at war?
Like I said to you,
I don't think you understand the definition of terrorism.
I value every life. I value every life as equally important, even yours.
This is a lot.
How would white supremacy benefit? I want you to tell me that. I'm the blackest person in LA County.
Not
I've
LA
got to leave it there. Look, I value all of your lives. I value coming on the program. I'm sorry things got so personal, but we move on and we'll continue debating it. I believe that out of all the debate, hopefully, we will get some solutions and we'll get to a better place. So thank you for joining me.
Good grief, good grief, good grief. Piers Morgan, he should have clocked it. Like, he should have been like, y'all take that to the streets. We ain't finna do that on national television, okay? Like I said, there's a lot of passion. There's a lot of, my brain is so overstimulated, y'all. There's a lot of passion behind this topic. I really do wish that, because I do see, it's different when you're outside watching it, because you see how each side is kind of missing each other's points in a sense, or missing where they're coming from. This topic is just so deep that not even an hour panel can even cover the surface base of it. So I can see where all this frustration is coming from. Let me know your thoughts on the comments down below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you're notified whenever I post a new video. Follow me on my social media. I actually really want to do a sit down with Dr. Cornel West around what's going on with Israel and Hamas. I reached out to his people. If y'all, know anybody on his team or anything like that, it's pretty hard to actually book him. I'm not gonna lie. But through God, all things are possible. So the power of social media, y'all know what to do. Send this to him. But yeah, with that being said, I love y'all all. God bless y'all. This is Udo at Connecting People with Policy. Toodles.